Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and the XDefiant beta is gone, but it is certainly not forgotten. The developers are still continuing to work on the game, which is set to release later on this summer. We don't have an official release date as of right now, but they are still working on the game. Well, the other day I got a comment on my XDefiant video. We've been talking about the idea of kill streaks within the game, and obviously a big portion of XDefiant's fans are going to be Call of Duty refugees that are tired of the current COD product. They want to go back to the simpler times of the Call of Duty franchise, and in some ways, XDefiant is exactly that. While in there, I actually got a comment on my recent video talking about kill streaks, right? Some people are for them, some people are against them. Well, this person says they could make the kill streak medals a collectible that you can use to unlock cool items. That would work, I think. That wouldn't hurt the ultimate abilities and give us still a reason to go for high streaks. I'm like, okay, that's actually pretty interesting. That's something I never really considered. It's something that's sort of outside the box. So I put it on Twitter. The post itself got a good amount of attention until eventually it was responded to by Mark Rubin, the executive producer over at Ubisoft, the guy who's basically the David Vonderhaar of XDefiant. He says, we don't want to put your typical COD kill streaks in the game. That's also very important because I don't believe up until this point they've actually ever officially acknowledged the idea of kill streaks within their game, or even really gave us a stance as to what their opinion was on the idea of adding them. But then continuing on here, but we are thinking outside the box for ways to reward and celebrate streaks. I thought the reactive camo idea from this thread was pretty cool, and let's go ahead and check that out. It's coming in from none other than the infamous BT, the COD father himself. He replied to my thread saying camos that react to your streaks and will stay a certain way and unlock fully once a threshold of kill streak is met would be awesome too. I think cosmetic / reward streaks are the way to go. Lethal stuff would make the game feel a bit too stuffy with the abilities. I completely agree with that as well. I'm kind of like in the same boat with specialists, right? Specialists here in the Call of Duty scene. People love them, people hate them. I am indifferent, man. I enjoy COD without specialists. I enjoy COD with specialists. Like Black Ops 4 is one of my favorite CODs of all time, but Black Ops 1 is my favorite COD of all time. You know what I mean? Like, I am all good with specialists being in the game. I'm also good with them not being there. And I kind of felt the same way about kill streaks. I'm like, I'm not sure how they would implement them organically and not make the game feel like it's overrun by them. But I was not opposed to the idea of kill streaks really whatsoever. But then we got that reaction from Mark right there saying they don't think the game would be all that good for it. But what Blame Truth is talking about there is the idea of the reactive camos that we saw back in Black Ops 4, but taken up a notch. In Black Ops 4, if you had a reactive camo, it would react based on what you did. Certain camos would change every 3 kills, certain other camos would change every 5 kills, certain camos would react if you got like 3 headshots, or other ones I believe would actually react depending on how you were playing the objective. Reactive camos in the Call of Duty scene was one of the best ideas ever, and yet for some reason, just like so many other amazing aspects of Call of Duty games, they forgot all about it. They decided, you know what, we don't need reactive camos, those were dumb. And it's ridiculous because, I mean, reactive camos are freaking cool, let's be real here. So what Mark is saying here is he likes Blame Truth's idea, and right now they're currently in development. They're trying to think outside the box for ways to reward and celebrate kill streaks, and the reactive camo idea he thinks could be pretty cool. I think what would separate it from Black Ops 4, based on what BT said, is once you reach a certain threshold, you got that camo permanently. Like, for example, if you wanted to get the Rainbow Diamond camo in Black Ops 4, you had to go, initially, you had to go on a 30 kill streak. Then eventually they changed that, so you just had to get 30 gun kills that were like solo kills. And then eventually your gun would evolve throughout the entire match. But the idea that Blame Truth has is if you go on a 25 gun streak with your AK-47, for example, not only should your camo evolve and adapt to your kill streak over time, but for hitting that 25 kill streak, you should unlock a certain really cool camo permanently to use on your AK-47, or maybe all guns in general. I'm torn as to how the best way of handling that would be. I think for me personally, if you get a nuke, quote unquote, within XDefiant, say a 25 or a 30 kill streak, depending on what Ubisoft wants to do, I think you should then unlock the nuke camo for every gun in the game, but there should also be another camo that would be individual, right? Because I think it would be really silly where there's this nuke camo for a 30 kill streak, you get it with your AK-47, and it only unlocks you that camo for the AK-47. You're now incentivized to try to get a nuke with every single gun in the game. That seems really grindy and really frustrating. Maybe that's just me, but maybe there can be a special camo for each individual gun in the game for going on a 20 kill streak or a 15 kill streak, something like that. I mean, 15 kill streaks are actually relatively difficult to do in a game like XDefiant as compared to COD, because it is so fast paced, especially when you're playing on maps like this one right here, Arena. I mean, there's lots of action, but I mean, you're eventually going to get tapped, right? There's abilities, there's 6 people on the other team, everyone's running around. They're all zooming around fast as shit. So, you know, I don't know. The sky is really the limit. And that's why I said in my response to Blame Truth, the sky really is the limit when it comes to how they may want to approach a system like this. But I'm very happy that Mark Rubin reached out to the tweet and acknowledged the entire community. He broke the seal, so to speak, by saying they do not want your typical COD kill streaks within XDefiant, but they are thinking outside the box in ways to reward people for going for kill streaks. Because I got a lot of feedback, and I'm sure they've gotten a bazillion amounts of feedback during the beta. You know, I'm just talking in my own videos and my own live streams where people say that the game feels good. It's a return to form for the FPS genre in some senses. They like the fast-paced action and the characters and the maps and whatnot, but they feel like it's missing something. And for a lot of people, it's missing that kill streak feel. But at the same time, XDefiant, as similar as it may be to old school COD, is still not COD. It's not a Call of Duty game. It's an Ubisoft game, and they're going to be going their own direction with this. So obviously every faction in the game is going to have a passive, an active ability, and then an ultra, which I think most people are just going to call ultimates, but your ultimate ability as well. You know, having that in there is going to be part of how you can have a kill streak go on. Like, you'll get your ultras a lot faster depending on how well you're doing. But the idea they're going to have different forms of cosmetic rewards as well in the full launch of the game sounds really interesting. I have to wonder, though, if this was a priority that they had internally the entire time, or if they were just browsing through Twitter yesterday and they're like, you know what? These guys are cooking up something here. Let's write this down, and now maybe they're going to start development on something like that. I don't know. This may not be something we actually see at launch, but I will say it does feel really damn good to see developers actually caring about the game and actually taking fan feedback into consideration when it comes to the future of their game. The game is even out right now, but it seems like they're already taking some very interesting ideas from the community and trying to implement them into the game to make the game an even better experience for the overall player. So definitely some pretty cool news right there. I mean, Call of Duty would never, oh my god, COD would never. They would tell you to go buy a $30 bundle, then ban you for it. Like, that's what COD would do nowadays. Meanwhile, XDefiant's like, you know what? I mean, this actually seems like a pretty good idea. We're going to write this down. I mean, even if the idea doesn't even get into the full launch of the game, the fact that they're acknowledging it and talking about it, and internally they're probably having some discussions about it, at the very least, you feel like you made an impact. You know what I mean? Like, you're not just like literally yelling at a wall when it comes to trying to make the game better and things like that, which is often how I feel when it comes to things like Modern Warfare 2. You know, when it comes to COD, if you're not one of the COD chills, not one of the COD insiders that literally like are not allowed to speak out against the game, unless you're one of those guys, Activision's not going to take your feedback. They don't give a shit, man. I'm sure I'm blocked by every single Activision developer out there right now, even though my videos I think are actually pretty fair. I mean, obviously I'm definitely biased in one direction, but I definitely feel like my videos have a point. I don't feel like I'm just being hateful or bashing developers or anything like that. I think I'm actually providing very constructive criticism, like the amount of times I've talked about all the different things I liked in Blackout as compared to Warzone, and things I liked were the player progression aspects, the different characters you could unlock, the number skins, having something to do in the game besides just try to win the game, and having a focus on the shop. Like, feedback like that I've literally been giving for, like, I don't even know, since Warzone came out. And, you know, it's all just falling on deaf ears. But then again, as we all know, Call of Duty cares so much more about the shop than they do the actual state of their game. And while I'm not saying here that Ubisoft is like the patron saint of freaking customer service or anything like that, or player feedback, the fact that they're actually talking to the community and the betas have gone pretty well and they've made changes based on that fan feedback, that's a pretty good sign, and I'm very interested to see where this is going to go moving forward. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all for this video here today. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts and feedback down there in the comments, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.